Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about something a bit different. It has been my ambition and maybe even a little bit of a dream to own a flat right in the centre of Glasgow. To me, it seems like if I have a flat right in the centre, it's going to bring amazing rent, it's going to appreciate a lot, everyone will want to live there. Imagine all the business people that are going to come in that I could maybe rent it short term and get loads of money for. I just thought having a flat in the centre is going to be incredible. So I've been having a look and I almost made a mistake of taking my ambition to the next level and maybe putting an offer in. In this video, I'd like to explain to you what the property was, why it would have been a mistake to buy it, and yeah, I'll just share my story from all this. So, as always, Rightmove is my best friend. So one evening I went on, I put Glasgow, this time I put Glasgow city centre, for sale. I put up to 130k, thinking nothing's going to come up. I'm just going to see if I find anything at all for that sort of lower end of the market price. I go to search properties. I start having a wee look and I see this. This is one of the first ones that came up. I opened it. It is on Bath Street. Just to give you an idea, if you zoom in here, the Sauchiehall Street is where all of the sort of clubs are, and this is extremely central. So all of this area is where the shops are, the restaurants are, everything is. It's a really good place to be. If you want to be in the centre, this is a good place to be. So I saw Bath Street and I thought, wow, this is great. Or offers over 130,000. I thought, who knows, maybe you can get it for 130k. I start looking at the pictures. It's quite spacious. I have a look at the radiators, and to me that probably tells me that there's gas in the property. So I thought, yeah, there's probably gas, good stuff. There's a balcony and a beautiful view of the Glasgow city centre. I thought this is amazing, I'd love that. There is, good space, a lot of natural light coming in. The kitchen a bit dated, but nothing too bad, can definitely be sorted, a decent enough space. First bedroom, good space, built-in wardrobe, window, nice view. What is there not to like? And potentially a gas-powered heater. You've got an ensuite, so 2 bathrooms, 1 ensuite and 1 normal bathroom for a city centre property at that price. That's incredible. The ensuite, yeah, might just need a bit of an update in terms of new tiles, maybe new shower, but nothing too major. Second room, again, nice bed, table, radiator, nice view most likely, and a built-in wardrobe. So again, good size. Look at that. Very nice. And third bedroom, a bit smaller, but again, big enough for a double bed. Decent view and a little wardrobe. So very happy. Straight walls. It's got the fire alarms and stuff. I am happy. This is good. The bathroom, yes, the wet wall panels are not great, but this looks neat. Looks everything that you want is in there. It can be upgraded easily if you need to. Inside, you can see the corridor is very spacious for a city centre flat right on Bath Street. So this is amazing. And I thought, wow, I had this thing of like, this would be a great investment, but then also even for myself, maybe living there would be great. So looking outside, relatively tidy, nice entrance as you come in, loads of natural light, perfect, and good entrance and good view. So I thought this is really good. So now let's start doing the analysis on this property. So what do we know about it? Let's put item, cost, comment. We know that the asking price is 130,000. We know that it's very central. So the rent for a property like this, I would say, well, let's have a quick look. We go to Rightmove, and then we put Glasgow city centre. We put what is there available for rent, including agreed. We want 3 bedrooms, search properties, 48 results. So if you look on the map, if you zoom in around Charing Cross, there's not too much. Well, we can also check 2 bedrooms. So Charing Cross is roughly where we are. So you have a 2 bedroom. This might even be the same house or a similar house. 1.4k for a 2 bed. 1.5k here, 1.4k. So potentially 1,500, because this one, yeah, it seems like it's a bit smaller but very similar. So 1,500 a month rent, times that by 12, you're talking about 18,000. So yield is going to be that divided by that, 14%, very reasonable. So I thought, why not? This is really, really good. So what I did then is I've asked for the home report, phoned up the agency, asked for the home report, and actually the agency was really good. The agency was really honest, and what they told me is that there's an issue with the main wall. So what you might have heard of before is, I don't even know how to spell it. There was a fire on the Grenfell Tower. So it was a 2017 fire. It was in West London. It burned for a long time. 70 people died at the scene and 2 later in the hospital. So a lot of deaths. This was a devastating thing that happened. And if you look at the reason, what really happened, caused by electrical fault, and it's spread due to flammable materials. So the report has shown that there's been a sort of flammable, it's been insulated with flammable materials. So the main walls have been insulated with flammable materials, which means that if there is any big fault that can cause a fire, the fire can spread. In any tower or building like that, you want to contain the fire so it can be put out quite easily. So this is a big thing. And what they've told me is that the main walls have an insulation issue. So I think they've used similar insulation to what was in that tower. Apparently it's been used in loads of buildings, but now they're trying to replace it as much as possible because it's not something that they want to mess with. They don't want any more deaths. So she told me that there's an issue with the main wall's insulation. It likely needs to be replaced, and the builder gave a bit of a indication in terms of a letter that they are willing to replace it for free. So that's information that we've got. Another thing I've got from the home report and the agency is the fact that there's no gas. So that all those heaters are powered by an electric boiler, most likely, or some sort of electric heater. And that's a lot more expensive. So higher bills are to be expected and anticipated. Next thing that I found is that it's council tax F. So you are potentially going from about 140 per month to around 300 a month. So with a lower tax band, you're about 140, 150. With a higher tax band like F, you're basically double that. You can be up to £300 a month. So that's a big thing. And then I've pushed them a lot on the service charge, because I know in those central buildings, they like to have service charge. What does it cover? I don't fully know. I think it covers a bit of cleaning in the common areas and a bit of maintenance. But I think if it's like bigger maintenance, things that replaced painting, they charge you for that separately anyway. But there is an ongoing charge. And they've told me that it's about £500-ish per quarter. A quarter is 3 months. So therefore, let's just zoom in a bit more. So you have the service charge of 500 divided by 3. So £180 a month. So this went from being a cheap flat to a big issue. Thankfully, they were upfront about all this. I didn't have to go through the solicitor to find this out. But let's just look at those things and see how this could potentially make it a good or a bad investment. So, main walls insulation issue. It's quite scary. If insulation is flammable, the fire can spread in the whole place. It's not quite safe. What does that mean for us? Well, what that means is that if I want to buy this flat, I will likely need a mortgage. When I go to the mortgage broker, they're going to find out about this insulation issue. They might be okay with it or might not be, but the reality is mortgage brokers are quite risk averse. So whenever they realize that this is a very big issue, they've got the example of that tower that burnt down and killed people. So now that precedent has been set. They'll potentially say, no, we are not giving you money for that particular flat because of this main wall thing that needs to be rectified. I can go back to them and say the builder said they're going to rectify it, but there's no formal contract. It's just a letter. At the moment, there's no time scale. There's nothing solid to say that this is going to be done and when it's going to be done. So on one side, you are going to have a potential rejection of the mortgage. On the other side, you could buy it cash or find some sort of bridging arrangement or something like that where you buy it. Then wait. If this gets replaced, the value goes up significantly because now you don't have the issue of the main walls anymore. Therefore, you can potentially charge, maybe 170k instead of 130. So on one side, it's an opportunity. On one side, it's a risk. For me, it's a bit much of a risk getting a lending rejected. So that already kind of ruled this property out for me, and I decided not to go ahead. Another thing to consider with this is that whenever you go to insure the property, they're going to ask you all the questions about the type of property. Because if something happens like a fire, is the insurance going to be liable? If they find out that this insulation is potentially the same as the Grenfell Tower, they might just tell you, no, we are not insuring you for that. Or they can put the premium sky high and you won't have a choice because it's your obligation to have insurance. You can't lie to them and say, oh, I didn't know, because you clearly did. So you have to be honest and mention that to them. And you're either going to end up with a sky high premium on insurance, building insurance, or they will just refuse to insure you at all. And you have to have insurance, therefore that's a problem. So that's that one explained. No gas, higher bills. So gas is still relatively cheap. So when you burn that in a normal traditional combi boiler, you then heat up the water. The water goes through all the radiators to heat up your house. Yes, there's some pollution associated with that, but it is cheaper. Unless you have a heat pump, it's much cheaper than the electric heating. When you go into electric heating, you can have sort of instant heaters that you just stick on and they take a lot of electricity and blow hot air. They have the heating elements that blow hot air out. Or you can have an electric boiler which essentially boils the water and then sends it around. But that takes a lot of electricity, and if you're doing it consistently, you're going to have high bills. So when somebody will rent it out from me, or when they're looking to be renting it out from me, they will see that as a potential issue. So they might go for a more efficient property instead of my one for renting. So that is not great. Council tax F. It's not a huge issue because most of the central houses have a high council tax. However, again, it adds to the competition. So when I'm trying to rent this place out, they might say, you know what, I might just get a flat that is actually 10-minute drive away, and I'm going to be paying half the price for council tax. So this council tax being quite high can be a bit of an issue. If you get students in there, they don't pay council tax, it's not so bad, but again, it's just not a great thing to have. And then service charge is something that you have to pay. So what that means is that you're going to get your rent, say it's going to be £18,000, and then you're going to have the service charge, and I know that there's repairs, there's painting, etc. So that 180 ends up going up. So that could potentially be, say, 250, 300 a month, because even with the flats that are farther away that I have, the door gets broken, that needs sorted, and from time to time you have to pay for those repairs. There's always something extra in there. So say 250 times that by 12 is £3,000 a month. So just taking that off, you end up with 18 minus 3. So you now end up with £15,000. So that already reduces your yield. So your new yield is going to be that divided by the asking price, 11%. And then also, if you take into account that you potentially can't borrow this money, so you have to have a bridging or whatever it might be, this is not an attractive enough return to be taking all the risk. So this is, let's just go back to it. This is a great property. Potentially somebody will take a risk, buy it cash if they have the money, wait until it's repaired, and then they're going to have an asset that's worth a lot more. But unfortunately, it's just not for me. So this gave you hopefully a bit of an idea of my appetite to risk, and then also how I went through this deal, analyzed it, and decided that it wasn't for me. Hope you enjoyed this video and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Subscribe.